Hey, Emily.
Hi, how are you?
Tim, there's Nicole.
Hey everyone.
Hi. So folks, you know what? Let's just start on time. We have quorum. So I'll call this meeting to order and take a roll call vote. Tim?
Here.
Tracy?
Here.
Anna Mae O'Shea Brooke here.
And everything worked. I'm on and my voice is working. That has not happened like I don't know what I've been doing. But
Small gains. Small gains.
I blame the schools with the Zooms and my daughter being on it, but that is what I blame everything on.
Yeah. So. Thanks.
I'm sorry. Like everybody else, right?
Exactly. Yeah, bring it on. I'm used to it. I've got this, shield around me at all times. Hysterical. Well, cool. First order of business, we're gonna, if we could please table the minutes. I think we have to motion that and vote to table them. Do we have a motion to table the minutes?
So moved.
Second, Tracy?
I'll second, sure.
Thank you. And so again, roll call vote. Tim?
Yes.
Tracy Rogers?
Yes.
Anna Mae O'Shea Brooke? Yes. Great. Tabled. Thank you. And second order of business, Nicole Drummond. We would like to welcome you into the subcommittee, but I would like to have a motion to welcome Nicole Drummond, who I introduced at the last meeting, to please join our committee. Do we have a motion?
I motion to have Nicole join the committee.
Welcome, Nicole. And do we have a second?
A second.
Thank you. We'll take a roll call vote. Sorry, this is tiresome, but we have to do it. Tracy Rogers?
Aye.
Tim Knight?
Aye.
Anna Mae O'Shea Brooke? Aye. Welcome, Nicole.
Thank you so much.
Yay, thank you, thank you. All right, cool beans. So, post-form discussion. Does anyone have any comments about last night?
I thought it was excellent. I thought all the work everybody put into came together like magic. I was impressed. I was proud of everybody. And I consider myself to be very discerning, but I just thought it went off without a hitch. And it moved the project, no matter where the final decision happens on November 10th with the selectmen. I thought it moved the project forward by leaps and bounds. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. And I think, Tina's slides, Emily's new perspective, just kind of looking at things differently, it really helped. So thank you.
Yeah, and I thought it infused finally, I don't know how you feel, Tim. Nicole, you can't feel anything because you're new now, so you don't know. But anyway, I just felt after some of the slog of the summer, like I left that meeting feeling excited again, where I felt like a couple of weeks ago, like, oh my gosh, I got into this, I think I even said once, because I wanted to be part of bringing something new and lasting to my community that my kids aren't going to benefit from, but I could see the need for, and it was really just getting kind of onerous there for a while, but we got through it, and I just came through revitalized to even have this meeting tonight and recommit myself to the work ahead. So just well done, everybody.
Yeah, and I think it was great that the three committees were there, and especially hearing from the Board of Selectmen. I thought it was important to hear them. I thought it went well.
Yeah, no,
Tracy, you've made my day. Sorry to interrupt. Go ahead, Tim.
No, I thought as well. Anna Mae knows me pretty well. When things are going bad, everyone hears from me a lot. Like the last month or so, I've been a lot quieter. It shifted between Gina, Emily, whoever, the way that you position things in the first couple drafts really shifted. And that really was, I think, the type of, that's the direction we needed to go regardless. So I thought that does, it gives you at least a comprehensive story. There was 2 or 3 nagging topics that we know no matter what need to come up, but between that, even the FAQ, it starts to kind of wrap it up together that, okay, I'm new to this. You can get the ideas of it. Tracy, you have more energy. By 9 o'clock, I was like done. It was a long day, so I was excited for a while. But
Yeah.
you know,
Um,
eventually I was tired. So Michael was phenomenal.
Yeah, for
Mike
sure.
Quinlan.
Hands down. Nicole, how did you think it went?
I thought it went really well. I thought that that there was a good amount of people represented that had multiple opinions, but they were very rational in their thought. And I thought that the presentation was great. Honestly, I thought it laid everything out in pretty simple terms and allowed the town to really realize what the need was. And I always feel like the nagging thing, regardless of where people want it, they didn't understand or actually listen to the benefits maybe of, Wheelock in particular. And I felt like that was really, it came across in many different ways. And I don't know, I thought the whole thing, and I've gotten a bunch of feedback just from parents. And I think that there's a couple of people who were on the call last night that then realized how important it is. And so my youngest is in kindergarten, my oldest is in 7th grade. So we kind of have a broad group, but I feel like the kindergarten parents, all of a sudden, because we've been posting that these kids, if Wheelock is chosen, our kids are going to be the first 4th graders. So all of a sudden there's a lot more investment in all of it, and looking at things, I've seen like on our kindergarten page, a lot of momentum today. And so I think it was really a positive meeting.
For sure. And I think that's why your voice is so important, Nicole. And today, Mike Quinlan forwarded a ton of emails saying we support, from a lot of the younger families. So, and they were sent to the select board. So that's great. Perfect. Thank you. And I think I was telling Tina earlier before people logged on, I think, there were just some of the content yesterday was the same, yet delivered in a different way, or viewed in, delivered, and that made a huge difference. Like the chart of the grades, like even just adding the acreage. Emily, you had said that when people said, wait a minute, so things started to make sense in a different way. So anyways.
Yeah, and I thought what really resonated with me, and then I'm sorry, I know we don't have time to revisit the happy times and go down memory lane from last night, but the thing that I liked that Dr. Marsden said that resonated with me, that made it timely, about staying at Dale Street and what it means to do construction there, and what the kids who are young are going through this year, and who even knows what it means for next year. That it could be almost an elementary generation of kids whose education is disrupted in several different ways. And that just really spoke even to my husband, who's always been a little bit more renovate that building and reuse it, so I think we were both listening, and that's how much energy we have here, Tim. That's our old couples night watching a town meeting. But anyway, that really broke my heart when he said it, that way to think of kids at the elementary level, because even my kids who went to Dale, which is a little dumpy, they still had amazing elementary school experience with all of the fun and all of the nonsense that goes on there, and none of this. So I thought that was a great talking point that I'm going to bring up in my conversations with people.
Sure, 100%. All right, super. So moving forward, because our work is not done, and because the select board has not yet voted, and we can't, although it sounded pretty good, we can't count on anything.
I was going to say this was a really good trial run before town vote.
For sure.
And let's take the things that worked well, let's keep adding to it, and it's going to feel monotonous to those of you who are in it and saying the same thing over and over again, but it's a story that we just need to build upon and continue to tell all the way up to town vote, because there will be people who will wake up 2 weeks before and say, what's this project about? And you're like, let me tell you. So
Right.
So true.
Yeah,
So
and I
true.
think a lot of people forget too, because it's been a long process. You know, a lot of the information that we had said in the beginning, we didn't want to keep repeating, and then people forget. So I think just having that information and that history in the background, it's going to help. Yeah, for sure.
And I think too, with the new younger families, I spent a lot of time over the last 2 weekends connecting with my neighbors. We have a lot of young neighbors here and reaching out to people. And the feedback I got from them is, and Nicole, it might be a little bit different for you, is I think they assumed the project was going to go forward no matter where it's located. And they were not as worked up about the location as others, and kind of felt like they didn't really know that much about it. They didn't really care where it was located. But, you know, at that next level in the spring, when it was time to vote the project forward, that they would be more engaged in that process, that they just didn't know enough at this point to really be informed, or at this level of decision making was just not where they wanted to be. But going forward, once the final decisions are made, knowing that their kids can have a new school would be something that they would be more willing to get engaged with.
Right.
At least that was from my neighbors.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think actually from some of those that I've spoken with, it's very similar. And the other part is I don't think they realized how much they could impact that decision.
Yep.
So they didn't realize that, you know, writing these letters and, you know, being a part of any of these meetings and voicing their concerns or voicing their support, they didn't realize that that was something that's important for this project. I think it, you know, you have to be in this town a while to really, every town has a different way of governing. And, you know, I think it's important for all of these families to really realize that they can be a part of everything. So now I feel like that momentum is getting out there, and hopefully it'll be for a lot of other things, you know, and they'll be out there for the votes. They'll be out there for all of those other, you know, when we're asking for them to come and step up, they'll realize why.
So moving forward, what a great piece that I don't know if really it's bubbled to the surface just yet, but that updated FAQs, that is a great piece, and I'd really like to kind of push that out more on the forefront, and just wondering what you guys had for ideas. You know, we did email it out, it's on Facebook, but I'm hoping we can feature it a little bit more and put it more in the forefront. So if anyone has ideas. I mean, we didn't have enough time, sorry, Tom Erb did not have enough time to convert it into text, so it was just an attachment to the invite. So, and I think people went into the email to really click to the Zoom and not so much click to open up the FAQs. So maybe that could be.
Well, what about just a basic follow-up? You know, thanks for those that attended. Do we have it? Does the meeting recorded? I doubt people would really go, but you know, if you couldn't make it,
send it as an attachment, Tim.
yeah, if you didn't make it, yeah, here's the meeting, but more important, this FAQ, because that FAQ, probably half the questions were answered in it anyways, that people brought up. So, but you know, kind of redo it to the SurveyMonkey. I don't know, like Tracy, like I'll sometimes I put together a whole listing of within the youth sports, all of the people on the board, and then I ask them that they share it. But I don't know if we've ever taken the time that says, well, what about the you know, people on the board of each PTO, ask that they push it out? You know, like maybe that's just, we have to always do that, refine the list every probably 6 months, you know. I mean, those are just a couple ideas that just keeps it, you know, keeps it going. Thanks for attending. We want you to we need your presence, because if Gus didn't see people, you know, nobody's voted, but that's what he really wanted, you know, active people.
Sure. And I think even Tracy's mentioned that, you know, we have our list, but to really just go through the check mark, you know, the checklist of, all right, done. reached out, but I like the follow-up email. We can probably put the FAQ not as an attachment, but, and here's the link. I did not see it, that chart, Tina, that you put together where the grades, you know, I think that's such an important visual. Is that in the FAQ? I don't think I saw it.
No,
Oh, it can be put in
was
there.
part of the
Yeah.
presentation. Right. We were thinking that the FAQ can be updated
Yeah.
based on some of the questions that we got from the survey and some of the questions from last night. I think it makes sense to do an update to that FAQ document.
Yeah, I just thought that particular visual was really powerful. And so maybe that could, even though it is in the presentation, to kind of pull it out and maybe add it to the FAQ,
Yeah.
that would be great.
I was thinking, I like the idea of doing that thank you email
Yeah.
and Facebook post for everybody coming and putting the FAQ, but that's pretty dense. And I wasn't really that energetic because I never read the whole thing. I was like, oh, that looks good. But if we had our top 5 things, if we all went through it and maybe emailed you, Anna Mae, about what resonated with us, and then do kind of like a posting campaign of just focusing on one of those issues. So like that chart that you spoke to, that was brilliant. And maybe that's just a Facebook post one week and say, oh, this is some specific information on the project we want to share. And then pick out some other issues from the FAQ that made sense to us. And some of ours might all be the same. It might be different. It's good to, you know, what was meaningful to me might not be meaningful to everybody else.
I like that.
And kind of, you know, do an email, Facebook kind of joint thing each week, focusing on a couple of key points.
That's a good idea, because it can be overwhelming to get so much information, and people just might kind of just like, you know, just like,
yeah, and things
really
that
skim it.
made sense to us. And one of the other things I thought would be really a great Facebook post to kind of kick it off, or an email, is to meet the building, I can't remember the actual project building committee, because when they were introduced last night, that was another thing that resonated with me, is how educated the people on there were, their jobs, their commitment. And I thought, wow, you know, these people really know what they're doing. So, you know, and I think sometimes people forget that, but I thought they were impressive, and just, we could just even do meet the committee members, you know, type of thing.
I dig
That's
that.
a great idea.
Those are great suggestions. And one way you can even map it out is to sort of say, you know, these are how many weeks we have, these are how many questions we have, and kind of space it out, and almost create a social media schedule. And you know, if you really want to get into it, you can even auto program them so you don't have to remember on that day. It'll just be pushed out on that day. So I think there's a lot of opportunity, and that shows an ongoing engagement with the project, and with what I hope is a growing audience as this project goes along.
Awesome.
Yeah, it makes complete sense, because I think if people are on Facebook, which I think a lot of people are, you know, they'll see a post pop up, you know, as they check their Facebook every day, and they'll see a Dale Street Project post pop up every, you know, whatever it is, every couple of days. So it'll be on the top of their mind.
I love this idea. Okay, great.
Forming all of that, we could ask the schools, because they all have that Thursday packet, each one of them have something. So, you know, as they give, you know, they give MCPE, they give PTO, everybody has a slot. Maybe we can just ask for that slot, and we can send out those top 5 every week to them. You know, it's a simple Google Doc that we could just input into. And then, you know, that at least, I mean, obviously not everybody is, or we can ask the principals to, you know, to include it in the top of what they're, you know, in what they're saying. So every week is just a portion of that. That way, at least, you know, that even if people aren't opening it, anybody who opens it is, you know, it's sent out K through 12, you know, so at least getting it into their hands.
Yeah, great idea. Because sometimes Steve Brenham has done that, but sometimes I don't always think of that. But if we can add that to our checklist of, I like that.
No, and that's good for the memorial parents, because as you said, their kids get the kindergarten parent and the preschool kids there are kids that are going to directly benefit from the new stuff.
Right. This is great. Sorry, Tim, were you in the midst of saying something?
No, I think, yeah, I was just saying, like, that weekly packet idea is great. And I think sustainable, you know, it would be over time, once a month. It just keeps it fresh, and it doesn't, eventually there's workload, like the content is, it's not going to be that fresh a month or two from now, right? So that's, you know, that would be the only thought about it if we wanted to. I think it's awesome because, yeah, mainly, I think more frequently Memorial and Dale for obvious, or Memorial and Wheelock
Yeah.
for obvious reasons.
Okay, super. Thanks. So that is great. So if you guys, you know, send me whatever you think those topics are, and then we can parse it out, that would be great. And then, and I like just the idea of a social media in terms of just a program and a timeline. It's good to work that way. And so moving forward as well is addressing, you know, Mike sent that email about traffic cost and disposition of Dale. And so, and within that, I'm just checking here. Okay. I did get a text, a couple of texts last night, you know, from friends who live in the Elm neighborhood, and just obviously they're not happy, and you know, but they're also not feeling heard. So I think having that forum, I know we don't have a date yet, but I do think having that Elm neighborhood public forum for them, and, you know, staking out the property, and maybe kind of like a visit day or something, you know, just to really, we're not going to make everybody happy, but at least kind of the olive branch that we want to hear from you. We want to hear your concerns. We're here, we're standing here. And a lot of folks have emailed Christine Truewaller and said, you know, well, here's my email. I want to be on an email list for the neighborhood. So I'm just compiling names right now, but I don't. We have our general email bank. I don't know if we should start creating a separate Elm neighborhood email bank as well. So I don't know, Emily, Tina, Gina, have you dealt with this before? Do you have suggestions of how to approach this?
In terms of who to bring to the neighborhood or how to have outreach?
Yeah. Targeted outreach for the neighborhood.
Yeah, so when we do official notices for like a conservation, not that that's what's happening in this case, what you can do is you can cull addresses within a certain distance of the boundaries. And so that might be a good property search of just sort of understanding where people are. What I can't quite connect is, so when we send those mailings out, they're physical mailings.
Yeah.
And, you know, I guess on one hand, you could do a postcard or something like that to come to this. The connection between the email addresses is a little more onerous, but finding ways, so Nextdoor, I don't know if Nextdoor is popular in your area. I have had experience with one town where like that was basically how everybody communicated. Forget Facebook, they were all on Nextdoor. So if there's any online communication platforms that people already use, as non-residents, we can't get on it, but you can. So that's a great way to do that, as well as sort of the traditional ways in which you communicate and just say, I've got something specific for the Elm Street neighborhood area. So those are two strategies that I've seen.
Okay.
And also, I don't know if this is popular in Medfield as either, but I have seen one town where they literally put up, I forget what it's called, that sandwich sign.
Oh,
Like the sandwich signs, right? It just said, you know, community forum this night, or if you want more information, here it is. So finding ways that you can connect those who aren't necessarily connected in the school system. So you're going to have residents who either don't have kids or, for various reasons. So you want to make sure that you're not just talking to those who are parents, but those neighbors. And when you do speak to parents who are in them, say, please communicate this to your neighbor who might not be connected, right? Make that active reach out. Those are some strategies that I've seen work.
Okay, great.
And could we just put things in the mailboxes? I mean, in the neighborhood around there, I mean, we can look up that. I think like, when you do a bulk mailing, you can go to the post office and they batch it by certain neighborhoods, so I think that I could do a little research down at the post office, but I wonder if they could just handle that neighborhood.
Yeah.
That's how we used to send our stuff out for All Night Grad. It would be in these things, and the post office just took them and we batched it by street, so
Okay.
we might be able to somehow target it that way.
And you might be able to get some information based on the school district. I mean, I'm just saying where I live, we're all zoned by school. We have a different setup, but if there's a transportation setup where like certain buses go, like the district might be able to help you with whatever those streets are as well.
Okay, cool. But Tracy, you'll take on that.
Yeah, I'll stop at the post office, or once, well, depending upon the date, once the election's over, I can also call over to town hall. I don't want to call over to the area about postal things between now and November 4th when they're getting all those ballots. It doesn't seem like it'll help the public relations of our project to insert like an admin question like that. But, even when you were running Anime, you know how they looked at the different sections of the town, but one of those sections is like a Wheelock section. They might be able to figure out the addresses, or have like a run on that themselves too, that they could give us.
Perfect. All right. Sorry. I just have to get my son to FaceTime his piano teacher. This way. All right. It's a lot of crazy. All right. So that's a great idea. I will look in, Tracy's got that. So I dig that. All right, cool. And then now what about, there's also been a request for us, a site visit to have it staked out. I don't know if you guys have heard of that, left field in Arrow Street.
I have done a, first off, that takes a lot of coordination because we're not 100% sure where it's going to be exactly on the site. So that's assuming like that's kind of like 10 steps down the road. I have done that after we have the building footprint and we've gone out with spray paint just to show people how big it is. But I feel like this is really early in the process to do that.
It's
in other words, that's
been requested by, these are the emails that are being sent to the town administrator and the select board saying, I want to be on an email list. I want a site visit, so it's just interesting. I just thought I'd bring it up.
And if you want a site visit, Anime, they want to just walk the site and get a sense of where the building is?
Yeah, or at least, like rough guesstimation, because when we see it on the Arrow Street, map, and you've got your pods and everything, just where exactly is it? It's probably where the men play, soccer, the over 50s league, that backfield there. They just want, to kind of get a feel, maybe not the exact lines, but just, all right, this is where we see the building, the parking, or what have you. Does that make sense?
So, Anime, let's take a step back.
Yeah.
So, the community forum and the site visit, in some ways, I won't say they're one and the same, but between now and the Board of Selectmen meeting, right? If that's the time frame you want it, then the community forum would be around then. What might be is, hey, we need to promote it, and then it is more informal. Like, from the stairs or somewhere over there, come by. And I'm like looking, like the slides last night, maybe they're just printed and you could show a couple pictures and say, hey, this is what they're thinking, without creating a massive amount of work, like for staking it out, which I just don't think will get done. I think it is a little risky. You have to make sure like Quinlan at a minimum is there, because he can answer it with, authority. But like a little Although I guess maybe that's no good either. I was going to say grassroots, but doing it at the building during COVID may not work.
Sorry, chaos in my
Yeah,
house.
that's right. Even out there, that's probably the other side, the community forum. But is it a Zoom or is it, you know?
You're talking about the neighborhood community forum, the Elm Street folks, Tim?
Yeah, I guess we would have to decide if we're going to do that. Is that
Then
is the intention to let them see the site and talk about it, or is the intention that it's a Zoom meeting, but it's a smaller group and you know not less of a presentation and more of a grassroots conversation?
I think we were thinking of a Zoom meeting for that, kind of like the public forum has been.
So what I have seen work in other locations, and not necessarily, this is not necessarily something you can do, but to have someone walk the site being videotaped. So that allows you to guide someone through the site and kind of show the different angles or where it could be without having a large group of people all together during a pandemic.
Yeah.
And it also allows you to kind of be able to be strategic about some of the back and forth. So you could say, you know, this is the field and this is an image of what it could look like, and be able to have that sort of multimedia experience to be able to compare and contrast. So that might be something worth doing.
Part of the presentation, I think that is a good idea. Yeah.
Well, you also, though, like the slides you have, they're great. It just might be like there's 3 topics during the community forum. What is it you guys really care about? Where would it go and what would it look like? And I'm not sure what else. I mean, like if there's an input on traffic, parking, you know, what's the impact on you guys? But that, you have a lot of that. I'll bet you guys also already have more than the slides you showed, but it just would be a deeper dive. This is where we would put it, but it's a slower, like you want to get feedback and make sure their questions are being answered.
And I will add, when I have done community forums, a new set of questions come out, because these are people who will be closer to the construction. They'll want to know some specific logistics. We won't be there at that process, but we can kind of give a hint of where they're at. So they'll want to know, you know, when does construction start? Who should I contact if I have an issue? Are there going to be lights on at all times? You know, how will we ensure the safety between the kids and the construction? You know, I think it's, if you don't anticipate those questions, then sometimes you can come off as a little flat-footed. So I just want to recognize that when you do community meetings and a specific site is chosen, some more specific questions will start to be asked, and we should be prepared for that as well. And we won't know because we won't necessarily have a contractor or a CM chosen, but we can make some assumptions, and left field can definitely guide us in that realm.
That's great. Because I bet, so Medfield TV has agreed to do, you know, a feature of the project. So maybe this multimedia approach is perhaps filming it and having that part of the neighborhood forum. Sounds like a great idea. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, Medfield TV has been very generous with their time and willingness to work with us. So I'm psyched for that. All right, cool. So
we might be able to, sorry, one other suggestion is that we might be able to do sort of a simplified walkthrough of the site. We have the site and the building in SketchUp, so which you can create like a camera view and you can do a little walkthrough. So that might help for orient people as well. It's just an idea, but we could see how we could maybe come up with something like that. That might help people kind of understand and, you know, the size of the building, the placement of the building. And that might be the case also for Dale, that some of those questions might come up in terms of, you know, how big is it, you know, since it's so close to some of the houses on Adams Street. That might be helpful to have a little more of a walkthrough, like a visual walkthrough video.
No, that would be great. Because I know there are the slides where it says, you know, this is the viewpoint from Elm Street, and it shows, you know, but.
Yeah, I'm pulling them up. There's a lot there. Those are excellent.
No.
And I just want to be conscientious, like almost dates and deadlines. So if we're going to do it, the community forum, when, and then we can start backing our way into what needs to be done.
Right. So it sounds like Mike had mentioned last night. So if Board of Select, if the Select Board have their vote on November 10th, right? And he was hoping, from what he said last night, to have that meeting that first week of November. Is that what you guys heard? That's what I heard. Okay.
Yes.
So, so knowing that, so what is November? November 10th is a Tuesday. So it's that first week of November.
And the 3rd is the election.
The 3rd.
So that's out that day.
Yeah. All right. So really that, you know, maybe the Wednesday or whatever, but you know, Mike will give us, but that if we know that that's our target date, and to Tim's point, to figure out how we're going to get to that point, to get people there, the sandwich boards, the, you know, the mailings, etc. And, you know, getting the bird's eye view of the site. I really dig that multimedia idea and incorporating that into the Zoom. So that'll be good. All right, and time is moving fast anyways, but we'll check in next week as well. So really these 3 issues that Mike ended the meeting with last night, you know, the traffic, the cost, the disposition, maybe those can be our targeted, you know, pushing out in terms of information. As I mean, traffic, we're not there yet, right? But the cost, you know, there's some great slides on the cost, and so maybe there can be some background information. Dale Street, you know, people brought up the town planning board and where that is. I think sometimes, I was just thinking maybe a timeline of where these buildings are coming, like where do Park and Rec think they're going to happen, because I do think there is some sort of timeline out there. And then, you know, Mike last night was saying Wheelock in the next 20 years. I don't know if that's helpful, but I'm seeking advice from you folks in terms of how to address what happens with Dale if we move to Wheelock.
It feels to me like we need some direction first before we can craft the message.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important. I know some possibilities, but until we get a clear direction of what that could be, we're on uneasy ground.
Yeah, no, and that's a great point, and I think that's a topic we bring up at next week's building committee, right?
And you know, I was thinking about it too, because the issue of that building is going to be with us to the vote. You know, in a way, if even the selectmen are leaning towards Wheelock or Dale, it never seemed to me like they were leaning towards renovating. So no matter where we go in the decision, it's almost like, let's not bring that up before November 10th in great detail. I mean, be able to answer the questions, but it's like a post November 10th issue to me, because it can only be used to me before November 10th as a tactic to not make a decision on November 10th. If we get too far into it, because it becomes an obstacle that people throw up and then they don't know. But if it's really not an option on the renovation, myself, not that I want to skirt it, I don't want to just make it front and center, but it will be something after the 10th when we're going to the final vote for the project. That will be something to spend a lot of time on, because I know for older people it is a huge issue. Because in addition to talking to my young neighbors, I'm also a volunteer at the food cupboard, and all the volunteers there are much older, and that is all they constantly talk about when I bring up the project is and they're very civically minded, engaged people who will be voting, you know, who I've never seen on a Zoom call and are not really paying that much attention, but will be when it comes to the final vote. You're there.
Greetings, all, and what is it they are thinking about with the building?
you know what, they're thinking that's an extra cost. That's all they're thinking. That
So it's the
it's going to
dollars.
be abandoned, and that it's an extra cost to do something else with it, you know? So if their mind was, if they could vote right now, they'd vote to renovate,
Mhm.
you know, and do all of that piece. But that's not really an option, as we've been talking, that really seems viable. So you know, to me, it just muddies the water of a discussion to not get to the answer of where the right location is going to be, because it's not even that much of an option. But maybe I'm misunderstanding the direction of things.
Yeah, no, it was interesting to me, when the director of the Parks and Rec mentioned that we'd love to take over that building. To me, that was the first time I've heard somebody have an aspirational idea for the building that doesn't sound like it's an encumbrance. It sounds like it's an opportunity. And I was trying to figure out, does that help people who, I was expecting that people are feeling that building has some heritage in the community, that they don't want to see it torn down, although I'm surprised at the number of people who said, well, what would happen if you tore it down and started over? But, you know, would some people be happier if you said, yeah, we're going to move Parks and Recs in there, and we're just going to do it, and it doesn't take a whole lot to do that, and then we could get rid of the FAF Center? You know, do people get excited about that, as opposed to, oh gosh, we got this old piece of luggage, and what are we going to do with it?
Yeah. So I guess I don't know. I think people think of it as just a building that's going to have something else done to it, that's going to be an override of some amount. That's how I
get another, even if Park and Rec,
I think young people, sure, would be like, great, that we need that. I think older people who are facing legitimate issues are like, oh, that's another cost.
It's an albatross.
It's not unsurmountable, because at the end of the day, the town has to evolve. Everybody understands that at a certain level, you know, that these buildings are old, they're not going to last forever. So I guess just my point, I thought Mike Marcucci did a good job addressing it last night. Maybe I'll go back and listen to the video of what he said, but he kind of broke it down a little bit. I remember saying, well, yeah, that is an issue, but, you know, it's going to be an issue no matter where we go in this project, you know, and that's what made me think, like, let's not get so weighted down. It's kind of a post-November 10th issue to really come up with more information, because I see it more as an obstacle. I see it more of a reason for people to vote against the project in the final vote, and not as an issue so much as to where to look at. I don't think I'm making that much sense, but maybe that resonates.
You are.
Okay.
So I think, sorry.
I was just saying, I think, Tracy, also where you started, I look at this like the community forum is a subset of information that we covered last night. Like, you know, hey, assume either people went or they know where to go. But what is the thing? What are the elements in here that impact you as a neighbor, you that is close? And you know, I don't think, like, we are making in a great deal of effort, right? We don't need to go through everything. Yeah, point them to the FAQ. We want you to read through that. We really want to hear, I guess it was Emily who said that. What are the questions? This is when you learn the new questions that the whole purpose of the community forum, as I see it, is what are the things we need to be worried about next spring that we have? Like, we want to hear that stuff now so that we're in touch and able to address. So that's my view is, and Anna Mae, you're going to lose me in a couple minutes, but a little more conversational, you know, but trying to hit the topics that really matter to them, as a neighbor, not as a resident.
That's a good point.
Well,
Right.
things that you have going for you is that there's already a school there. So it's not like it's 100% controversial to put a new school, right? Because you have some communities are like, forget it, I don't want this here. So you've got that going for you. But there will be some concern about additional traffic and additional load. So what does that mean to have older kids there? Not that they're that old, but, you know, older kids. What does that mean to have more kids? You know, you can almost anticipate what some of the questions are going to be. You know, I've got now 10-year-olds who might be walking home. Will there be some safety upgrades to the street? What does this mean? And there's the whole construction part that I just talked about. But thinking about that, and what does this mean for the playing fields? You know, how will that change? And we can almost anticipate what some of those questions are, and that helps drive the content of what we're showing. It's, you know, Tim's right. It's less about the process of how we got there, and more about now we've made this decision. These are things we're grappling with. What are your concerns? Because your concerns will help us shape how we're going to go through the project going forward.
I think that piece of it is really important to convey to those Elm Street, you know, that neighborhood, you know. So it sounds like we've got some action steps. The first one is a thank you email with the fact sheet, the updated fact sheet, maybe it, you know, and releasing the video just as an attachment, just a thank you for coming. I like that idea. And then the top 5 things we can focus on in terms of parsing out, either pushing out emails or social media, and instead of like everything at once, just focusing on a topic. And then engaging the Elm Street neighborhoods, and Tracy's gonna find out from the post office, and we'll get a firm date from Mike. And I think to Emily's point about Dale Street, we'll get more direction before we even start to tackle that. All right. And then I'll send out a doodle for next week. And I think we just need to be consistent in meeting, and hopefully we can meet next week and see where we are. And I'll work on the thank you email, but can that fact sheet, I suppose it's a PDF. Tom just has a hard time converting it into like the email form. Do you know why that would
Well,
be?
we can send, yeah, I'm not sure, but we can send you the Word document if that's helpful.
Okay, all right, I think that would be helpful.
To copy paste, you can try that.
Okay, beautiful. All right.
Anna Mae, it's a good summary. Do you want, and I'm not trying to push work or volunteer for the record, but is the FAQ, is there any updates to it based on what was covered last night? Or is there anything that jumps off the page at us?
Well, I loved that personally, that chart or that graph that, you know, the kindergartners this year will be our first 4th grade class in that new school if all goes according to plan. I thought that was a really cool addition, but of course we'll highlight that maybe as well later because it might get lost in the shuffle. I don't know, but we don't have to do that. What do you guys think? Any opinions either way?
I liked it.
All right. So we'll
I think we tried to collect the FAQs. There may be some others, but might be good to get it around out and then supplement that rather than hold what we have for, you know, adding more.
Okay. All right. So Tina, I'll get that from, oh, sorry, Larry.
A quick question, and I'm sorry if I came late. I was finishing up one other thing. Is the Elm Street neighborhood an actual organized neighborhood group, as some communities have, or is it more just a disparate collection of folks who live nearby?
That's how I see it, the latter.
I say it's getting organized more by the minute. So
Okay,
between
and
now
that's fair.
and November 10th, people are starting to meet each other out there. But anyway, I have to run because I have to pick up my son, who, by the way, is 23 years old, which is ridiculous. But anyway, I think for next time, Anna Mae, if we can just talk about collecting more emails. You know, Tom I emailed, he gave us some ideas on that, and I'll try to follow up on some stuff too. But we have 367 emails in the MailChimp. And I think that we definitely can increase that as we give it a second push. We gave that huge first push about 8 weeks ago. I think we can circle back. I think Nicole probably has, I don't know, 368 friends that she can. I think the first 200 were Anna Mae's friends. So anyway, I just thought great job, and I'll see you guys next week. Thanks.
Yeah, super. Thanks, Tracy. Larry, you missed the Love Fest about last night, so.
Okay. I'm always here for the dirty work.
Yeah, exactly. Hysterical. So I think we've got our task at hand. So Tina, I'll look for that, Word thing, Word document from you that we can do. And then you folks will get the top 5 things or whatever you think are important. And then we can craft a timeline. And we said all the other things. And we'll meet again next week. We have our meeting on Wednesday, this
SBC meeting.
Yeah. Yes, BC meeting, exactly. So hopefully maybe we can meet Tuesday. Anyways, I'll send a doodle and we'll find a common denominator.
Okay.
Yes. I think there's one thing that we didn't get to talk about was the Dale Street Project website, if that can be updated a little bit. And I think somebody was gonna approach whoever was managing the website to see if we could rejigger it a little bit to have current information at the top of the page, and also the FAQ at the top of the page. So I don't know if we got answers for that or not. I don't know who was going to approach whoever manages it.
I'll follow up with you, Tina, on that, because I usually am in touch with Andrea and Christine, so about the page and posting. So I'll find out and then we'll talk about that.
That's a great idea, though, because I do think it could use a little finessing in terms of bringing the prominent things out. So thank you for mentioning that.
Yeah, Nicole.
Okay, thanks, Tina.
Sure.
New blood, fresh ideas. Some of these things we touched on a while ago. So please bring them back up because then eventually it was like, all right, well, we have to get these events. But yeah, stuff like that we do recognize. The same transformation of that material that we thought was phenomenal. Gradually, I think the website will start to pick up some of that too. That's my guess. It was definitely, Larry, that's what you heard. I mean, the whole team up-leveled everything leading up to it. Like you notice we didn't have like 4 sessions to review the slides. We had like 1.
Nice, good.
Exactly. Any other items for the agenda for next time? Any suggestions?
One question, just so I can start sending people to this. Where do you collect those emails, the email addresses?
Yes, so if you go to the medfield.net website and you click on Dale Street Project, you click the Explore tab and then Dale Street Project. And then really at the top of that is if you want emails, and you just type in your email.
Okay, so you could do Facebook blasts with that link.
Yes.
Right, and ask people who are looking to find out more to join.
Yes, that would be awesome because we did that long ago. So it's on that. So we have a Facebook page, as you know, and it's there, but you can also, you're savvier than I am in terms of putting it out there. So that would be great, Nicole. Thank you.
And I'm just thinking that we should probably include that link if you are able to get into the Thursday packets for the, include that link and also to visit us on Facebook. So that way everybody can find whatever method that they would like to follow everybody on.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you. Great idea. Cool beans. All righty, folks.
Okay.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second, even though, we have, okay. Nicole, do you want a second?
I'll second.
Second. All right. Tim?
Aye.
Nicole?
Aye.
Now that you're official, Anime? Aye. All right. Thank you, folks. Thank you. And great job last night, once again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Ciao.
Great.